Christian Slater, tell me about your new role as producer on the second season of Mr. Robot.
Wow. Let's see. I had gotten involved with the show from the get-go, and I'd always been a contributing member of the team, I suppose, and worked well with Sam and with Chad, and it just sort of organically fell into that place where whatever I could do to be helpful with the schedule and all those kinds of elements, I was willing to do. I mean, the great thing about working with somebody like Sam Esmail is that he is extraordinarily collaborative. So it's a great team to be a part of.
Now, how did things change with Sam Esmail directing the complete second and third seasons versus a series of directors for the first?
Well, it was certainly a different way to take on a show. It's definitely was a different experience than I had previously before. The normal standard modus operandi is to have a new director come in every week. And I would normally scratch my head in that type of situation and be like, hey, this is so weird. Like we have a flow and everybody's communicating well, and like, who's this guy, or this girl, or there's always like a new person coming in, and so it can be great, and it can add a level of spontaneity that otherwise wouldn't be there. But with this particular experience, Sam Esmail was there on the first season, I would say 98% of the time, and because he is really the continuity master of this show, and it really is all between his ears, and he has the ultimate vision for the show, he would naturally be the guy that we would always gravitate towards, particularly when he was there on the set. So when he decided to come back and direct all the episodes, I myself was particularly relieved. I was thrilled. I mean, I like the continuity of that, the consistency of that. Like I said, I relied on him a great deal in season one. So the fact that he's there 150% of the time now is, I look at it as just an extraordinary benefit.
Now, 5 years ago, you were on a show called Breaking In, and you actually directed one of the episodes. Was that something that you had always wanted to try, and then maybe just thought that's enough?
Yes. I mean, look, directing is certainly something that I love doing, and it's a great experience, and that experience in particular was great. And I love Adam Goldberg. Working with him was fantastic, and I really adored that show. I thought it was charming, and I loved everybody involved with it, and but particularly Adam Goldberg. I mean, he's a good friend today, and I was happy that he was willing to give me that opportunity. And the particular episode that I did get to direct played to a lot of my passions and strengths, so I was very happy to have that chance. Of course, I would love to move into that position. I mean, this show has certainly a very different tone, obviously, and something that I would equally love to take on. I mean, if Sam were to ever find himself, not feeling well on a particular week, or ever decides to take a momentary break, I would love to have the opportunity to step in, because without a doubt it is a great passion of mine.
Now, I've seen your previous interviews with us, and I would love to ask you about the third season, but kind of whenever my coworkers have asked you about what can we expect on the show coming forward, you kind of just shut down. You say, I will say nothing.
I know.
So, but we do know that Bobby Cannavale is on the show now. So what can you tell us about what he brings?
Wow. Well, he's definitely a very interesting character. I think you guys are going to love what he does with the role. He ends up becoming an extraordinarily very intricate person in this story. And I've also been a huge fan of his for a long time. I just think he's fantastic. So when he signed on, very much like I was with Craig Robinson in season 2, I had just worked with Craig a couple of times, actually, and found him to be great. And so having people like him and Bobby Cannavale come in and play these roles. And again, Sam writes very, very creative, very extensive characters. And it's great. This is the thing that actors love. We love to get the opportunity to have roles that we can really sink our teeth into and go nuts with. So that's what we're getting the opportunity to do here.
And how limiting do you find it playing a ghost?
Strangely enough, not limiting at all. Maybe there's more freedom in it. There's, look, I can move anywhere. I can be anywhere. I can talk to anybody I want. So I love that. It was interesting doing season 1, and I knew what the final scenario was for this particular character, and I had that instinct even when I read the pilot. And Sam, like I've always said, was very open and sharing the overall story with me. So I was certainly happy to have that information. But we shot episode 9 in season 1, and quite honestly, I didn't know if I was coming back. I didn't know what was going to happen in episode 10. None of us had the privilege or the opportunity to. We were doing season 1 as you would normally do a TV show, where you get a new script every week. But I was very excited to come back in season 2, and what the writers did during that hiatus. I'm sure but they really took the time to write all of those scripts, so that when we came back to start shooting, we were handed the entire arc for that particular season. And listen, I mean, information is power, and having that level of awareness as an actor is something that, again, I feel very fortunate for. And, every intricate detail has been seemingly thoroughly so thought through by not only Sam Esmail, but the rest of the team, Kyle Bradstreet and all these other wonderful writers that we have. These are some very interesting people who think of things in a very intricate fashion that I find to be quite astounding.
Now, this is a show with big twists, and how is it making that kind of a show in this age of the internet, where they don't get everything, but they can kind of figure a lot of things out many weeks in advance?
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, look, the internet gives people the internet provides billions of people an opportunity to have a voice now. So, boy, I mean, that is really, really tricky. It's harder and harder to outsmart the entire planet. And look, our show, I have to take my hat off again to Sam Esmail for having the insight, and sort of keeping track of what was happening in the world as far as hacking and Arab Springs. I mean, so many things went into him creating this particular vision for this world that we're inhabiting, that we're living in while we shoot this. That I thought that was really, really impressive. When we started filming this show, the Sony hack hadn't happened. So we were either picked up the day of that hack, or the day before, or the day, I don't know exactly the time frame of when that happened, but I think it just shows that Sam had some phenomenal insight there. And as the world has continued to evolve and move along, I mean, it's only become that much more relevant and that much scarier. The real challenge I think we're facing now is creating a show that competes with what's happening in reality. Reality has gotten so scary and so crazy, and in a way so startlingly unpredictable, that it's become astonishing even to us as we're making this show.
And what changes have you made in your life from making the show? Are you finding that you're attending rallies, or if you come across something that's password protected, do you think oh, really?
Wow. Well, I mean, it certainly opened the doors to doing some research, looking into organizations like Anonymous, and paying attention to some of those messages. look, I mean, doing a show like this certainly does raise the levels of awareness that I wouldn't otherwise normally have. You know, the scariest thing is how easy it is to do some of the things that we do on the show. I mean, it's kind of remarkable, you know, what these coders are able to do, and you know, like right now, you know, it's very, very important to put a piece of tape over your camera lens.
Now, for the first season of the show, you won, you know, the Golden Globe Award, the Critics' Choice Award, the Satellite Award, and then when the Emmys came around, you know, we're an awards website, we all thought, you know, what happened? Like, you weren't even nominated. What's your take on that?
You know, shit happens. I don't know. What do you say? I mean, look, I had such a wonderful ride with, with this show that I couldn't have felt more blessed with everything that had happened. And look, you know, I was thrilled for Rami, and I thought his speech was amazing. And, you know, so look, it gave me an opportunity to, the pressure was off my shoulders, you know, so I was able to just sort of get to go to the show, and the only stress and anxiety I felt was really for my teammate, you know, I mean, the guy that I, you know, get to support on a regular basis. So, so that's where my head was at. And, you know, look, I'm just grateful.
Now, the Emmys are coming back around. So if you're nominated this time, do you know what episode you will submit as kind of your best showcase of the season?
Wow. Well, for me, the episode I suppose that I would submit is, you know, episode number 5, I thought was really interesting from season 2. Just the craziness of that, the outrageousness of the creative aspects of doing the sitcom episode. And I mean, that was one of the more challenging things that we all had to face. It was really, really a bizarre thing to be, you know, going along in a particular direction with the show, and then spending those days living in that kind of surreal, very different sort of world. And the delivery of those lines, there's something so static about it, and so there's such a particular rhythm to sitcom communication that I found it extraordinarily challenging. But then the continuation of that episode, which then went from such utter chaos and you know, surreal insanity into a moment of vulnerability and honesty shared between a father and son by the end of that episode, I thought was, yeah, certainly beautifully written episode, and was thrilled to just have that opportunity of honesty and vulnerability with you know, young Elliot in that particular scene. I mean, I just thought there was a depth there that you know, Sam and I both wanted to capture, and also wanted to make it as honest and truthful as possible, and also walk that fine line of how self-aware is this guy, you know, or was this guy, you know. So that was something that we really discussed and talked about, and you know, it's not like this guy was really spending that much time doing that much soul searching, you know. So he was more just free speaking and free talking with his best friend, who happens to be his son.
Now, I saw in interviews with you from a couple of years ago, it took a while for you to actually watch the show. So are you watching it regularly now, and why was that?
Wow. You know, I think I just, no real specific reason, you know, I think I had seen the pilot, and I thought it was so intense, and I think I just was enjoying the aspect of being a part of it so much that I was afraid that if I saw it, I'd start, you know, maybe doing that typical actor thing of, you know, picking myself apart or finding the problems as opposed to just enjoying it. So I think I just wanted to, you know, live it as much as possible in the moment and sort of leave it behind. But eventually I felt that, you know, in order to honor the show and be able to communicate about it in a coherent fashion. I wanted to, see the thing, and I loved it. I mean, I just thought I really was blown away, and I just thought everybody's performance was remarkable, and I love the ladies of Mr. Robot. I mean, Carly is great, Portia's great, and with the addition of Grace in season 2, I think she's unbelievable, and Stephanie is amazing. So, like I said, Bobby, Rami, Craig, there's just it's a great team. It's a great team, I think, both in front and behind the lens.
Now, before Mr. Robot, you had been working, obviously you've been working in film and television for a long time, but for the 5 or so years before Mr. Robot, you've been working very steadily in television, kind of making 10, 20 episodes a year of a whole bunch of different shows that didn't last very long. So was it fun kind of jumping around character to character, or is it just, great having more of a sense of security on a show that's obviously lasting several years?
Oh, no. I mean, look, there's no question. Obviously, it's great to have the opportunity with each of those experiences and opportunities that I had to go to work. I mean, I always dove into them with hope, but proceeding with caution, that I would have a chance or an opportunity to explore a character over a considerable period of time. I mean, that was always something that I thought would be interesting and a great chance and an opportunity to do something like that. But again, such is life, things happen, you have these experiences. I mean, I can look at each one of those experiences, and I think I'm really appreciative of all of them, because, each thing was sort of in a way, a preparation for the next thing. And I definitely learned things. And I think I developed some great relationships with some really very talented, creative people. Again, Adam Goldberg, he's certainly somebody that I could see myself working with again at some point in the future. I think he's remarkably talented and somebody I greatly admire and I find to be extraordinarily hilarious. So, all those experiences were fulfilling in their own way. Of course, look, even dealing with the disappointments of them not going exactly the way I wanted them to only makes something like Mr. Robot that much sweeter and something that I appreciate on a deeper, greater level, I think.
And finally, a few people could retire in their 40s, but I suspect that, the option is there for you if you wanted. We've reached a point where you're playing the father of an actor who's 36. How long do you see yourself acting? That's the great thing about, this business, I suppose. I mean, I guess as long as I keep breathing, I don't know. I mean, that's something that it's something that I love to do and something that I've grown up with. And it's definitely been something that it's given me great opportunities and I've learned so many things as I've gone along through this business. And so, yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely something that I truly love and appreciate. And I don't think it'll ever, look, I look forward to the times when, I will be older and I am getting older and can play older guys. I mean, that's the great thing. I mean, I can go and go and go. And believe me, I'm constantly looking and trying to find interesting new characters to inhabit. And that's really what I want to do with my life. I mean, that's what I love to do. That and, raise my kids and, walk the dogs. All right. Thanks very much, Christian.
Thank you, man.